Well, hey everybody, it's the 6th day of March 2025. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. Well, let's go ahead and get started here on today's reading. I'm going to take a rune from the Elder Futhark bag to start the As Above side, or the higher self side. Here we have I Was. I Was is the 13th rune of the Elder Futhark. It's Laguz, and it's not forward and reversed. If you were to spin it, you have a vortex. Laguz is the 21st rune, and it's going to be about intuition and flow from higher awareness. This is bringing that into your experiences with others. It's sort of the link between opposites. So this could be something where you could be dealing with somebody today that sort of seems opposite from you, but you need to have intuition and higher awareness flow into that interaction so that the vortex of experience, if you will, is shared by both individuals. That might be one way to look at that. Again, drawing higher awareness into physical reality. Obviously it's an as above, so below rune like Sewillow is. That's another one. Yira is another example where you're seeing two things sort of separated either by two groupings or a line or something. But it's the same sort of idea, having that reciprocity between higher awareness and ego, essentially. Let's look at the Geomancy rune here. Sometimes it can just basically signal you're dealing with something that seems opposite today from you. So an opposite perspective maybe that you're having to find commonality with or common ground with. Let's put these in the order of air, fire, water, and earth. Well, I don't have to because it's populous. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's populous. Populous is an interesting rune. If it was a single dot all the way down instead of dual dots, it would be via its complement. Via is the idea of setting off on a new path, a new independent path that's active that you take, maybe even you develop, whereas this is passive. And so here you're looking at going along with the crowd. But with I Was, maybe that's you're discovering that you have less in common with the crowd than you thought, maybe. And you're having to find some commonality there that just isn't there anymore. And you want to do that in a way that's intentional, not in a way that's passive. And so you may have found yourself with people, and maybe it's not what you thought. Or conversely, it could be that suddenly you find yourself amongst a group of people, or maybe some shared thinking that is different than what you're accustomed to. And maybe you have a bunch of diverse voices coming together. And so that would fulfill the idea of the link between opposites that I Was presents. And understanding that in physical reality, you're going to have that, whereas in higher awareness, in the collective consciousness, in the soul field, if you will, there's a unity of purpose there. So maybe infusing that sort of thing with that unity of purpose here today. If you are suddenly finding yourself maybe aligning with people that you didn't expect to align with. So maybe it's, the intention versus, the synchronicity of finding yourself there in alignment with people that maybe seem like opposites in the beginning. That's something I think that I think probably resonates with me a little bit more strongly here in terms of this reading than the first idea I had. So let's think about it that way, how it's the connection between opposites that maybe was unexpected. And now you find yourself in unity of ideas and thoughts with people that, you didn't think would happen. So I've cut the deck and I've taken 3 cards here. We have a run on Pentacles, so a run on the Earth element. And so that's going to be about your physical reality, your career, your money, your wealth, your financial security, which of course a lot of people right now are experiencing a lot of fear and dread over that in the country. And who knows, maybe around the world, because this country seems to be impacting people in a way that's very, very unfortunate. That isn't really who we are, but yet here we are. And then the other thing we have here is we have one from the suit of wands. It's also a court card. In the pentacles, though, area, we have the ace of pentacles and the seven of pentacles. So let's go ahead before we go any further. And where is my calculator? There it is. So if we say 13, then for I was added to 7, for the 7 of pentacles plus the ace of pentacles, which would be a 1, we have 21, which reduces to 3. 3 is going to be our overall numerology. There is no numerology with any of the court cards, so we won't add the knight in. But I think that I'm comfortable with the second idea here of maybe disparate voices coming together in common purpose that are seemingly opposite from one another in a higher purpose and a higher vision. Let's go ahead and go with that, because here we have the 7 of Pentacles, where we see the farmer who's resting on his hoe or his rake. You can't really tell for sure because it's sort of covered up down there. So it's hard to see just exactly what he's leaning on. But here you have the grapevines. He's looking at his harvest. He's looking to see if he has enough. If he's basically contemplating. He's letting things settle out so that he can understand the bigger picture. Is he going to have enough to sell? Is he going to have enough for his family for the winter? That sort of thing. Or does he need to maybe grow some more? Or does he need to wait before harvesting? 7 is about observation. It's about the scales. And so it's letting those scales, the pans of the scale, settle out before you understand what you have when you're weighing something. So there's a feeling of weighing things out here with the 7 of Pentacles, just to be sure that everything is the way you need it to be, and that what you're looking at is going to be adequate, or again, if you need a little more. So maybe you don't harvest yet, maybe you wait, and unless some other things come to fruition, and then or maybe progressive harvest, however he wants to do this, but you make a decision about that. So there's a element of decision as well in the 7, after you see everything, what you've got to look at and what's really there, and then you have to make some determination about what you're going to do. Now, if this is in fact disparate voices coming together in common purpose, perhaps a new path is opening that involves your material security. Also, anytime you see the aces in the Rider-Waite tarot, it's always going to be represented by a hand reaching out from the clouds. It's the unseen hand of spirit. And in this case, with Pentacles, the hand of spirit is offering material security with and something about the foundation of your life. Here with the large coin in the hand. We see a path here. We see a wall, perhaps a hedgerow, with an archway that grows in between. We see some mountains in the distance, and we see some lilies, which describe newness and purity, if you will, the white lilies there. So a new path is forming that maybe, again, is going to try to help you preserve your material security or the future that you have for yourself and maybe you and your family, for example. It can be the Pentacles can also be about tradition, about education and home and family and all of that. But given that it's represented by a big coin or a series of coins, you're looking at abundance and you're looking at increasing that. And perhaps this new path will help either increase or preserve that for you. So coming together, bringing that into what's happening right now in our country, the systematic dismantling of people's financial security in terms of their jobs with the federal government, that aren't just at the federal government in D.C. They're in the states themselves. All you have to do is look at the Park Service that's being dismantled, basically. So people are losing their jobs, their livelihood, their insurance, their physical security, their material security, and perhaps. And I think as that comes along, you're going to see both sides of the equation come together in some panic, where their fundamental security is being taken away by people that are have another agenda, let's just say, because it doesn't appear that any of them knows what they're doing, and so you have to say, well, do they have another agenda then in mind? Because this is a flagrant attempt at dismantling the federal government, is what this is. And so, you have to sit in with the seven. You're going to sit and you're going to observe. And you're going to take stock about what you got. One person was interviewed regarding Social Security. Says, well, you need to start saving. Well, most people on Social Security don't have enough to save. So that was kind of a silly remark just to say, but he's at least saying something, and trying to let people know that something really bad is about to happen. And if it's not stopped, if the physical security of the nation is not preserved and protected, then some really, really bad things are going to happen to people, and it's going to be soon. And so you have a lot of people that are going to the stores and stocking up, and trying to anticipate, living in a way that is so much different than what they've been living until all this gets stopped and sorted out. And so how that will happen, I don't know. I did a thing on the blog, which was a 2-card reading here. I think it was at the beginning of February or somewhere in there, and it shows a better outcome, which actually is very similar to the combination of IWAS and populace here, where balance will be restored and people are not going to be harmed anymore. But everything that happens, you have to ask yourself, it looks this way, but is it really something else? And so, and people's income are being affected. The stock market is crashing, or it's going lower, much lower, and than what it was. And so is that because the fear of tariffs? And then, oh, well, we'll stop them for a month. So then people buy low, and who are the people buying low? Well, it's the billionaire class doing that, right? And the millionaires, they're buying when the stock market goes down, they'll buy, and then it'll come back up. And so, I mean, is there manipulation of that? Someone has suggested that there's manipulation happening that way. And it's freaking everybody out, right? And so the unseen hand of spirit with the Ace of Pentacles comes in and says, well, there is a new path to material security and safety, and in terms of the foundation that we all have. And although there's certainly various levels of that in different people's lives, there is a strength there of coming together with people that are having a shared situation. And maybe you're from different perspectives. Maybe you have just started out in different beliefs, but you have this shared perspective of something really horrible and horrifying, where the laws are being ignored, right? And this is all happening, or it looks like it's going to happen. So is it there to keep us off balance? But see, the operative word is us. And so whereas we may have been divided a couple of months ago, we're going to find that we're not going to be. And this division is going to get very, very small, and people are going to come together in populace here and find that even though, maybe they might not have done that 2 months ago, right now it's looking like that's what needs to happen, so that we raise our voices in a collective, no, don't you dare do this. You can't do this to people. You can't hurt people this way, right? And so that's a powerful motivator for people to come together that historically have not been, and to understand, what, we've all been played. And so now it's time to come together and do something about that, right? And that's where I think we have the Knight of Wands at that point. The Knight of Wands is very passionate and protective and action-oriented. Here we have him in the Holy Land. You can always tell that Holy Land by the 3 pyramids. He's on a quest. They're always on a quest, and but they're dynamic and they want to take care of business, the damage done. You see in the passive influences of Cups and Earth, the knights there are going in a different direction. They're going this way. They're going forward. But you look at the Knight of Swords, which is the air element, and the Knight of Wands. They're both active elements. They're very assertive. They're going to assert themselves, and they're going to say, you know what? Then they're going to go back and they're going to deal with things that have happened. Right, and they're going to try to rectify both of it. With the Knight of Swords, you're seeing the clouds breaking up, so the deception is going away there, and he's going back to sort of rebalance what the truth is there. Well, but the Knight of Wands is a little bit different. It's the same, but it's a little bit different in that he's going back there to protect people and to demand better, to demand that whatever is happening vis-a-vis the Pentacles side of the reading does not harm people anymore. So he's there more of as a protective element, willing to take the risk to on behalf of other people. And so this may be part of the populace aspect of this, where the voices raised are the ones willing to take the risk, to ask the right questions, to demand the right answers, and to bring that whole idea in a vortex of higher awareness, having that come down and imbue all of this with a higher shared purpose, which we all exist in when we're not in physical reality, right? As souls, that's all one, right? And so it's almost as if we have to understand who we are, and who, not just who we are, but who we are to one another, who we are together, that we are in this together. And this new path that's opening with the Ace of Pentacles. I mean, we could have even put this at the very end, and where you take stock of what's really going on and you understand the whole picture, right? And then you get angry and you say, oh no, you don't. And people come together that you wouldn't have necessarily done that with in the past, but now you're all in the same boat. And so now we all have to come together and raise our voices in unison and say, oh no, you're not going to do this. You're not going to harm anybody. You're not going to affect what little material security some people have here in this country. Some people don't have the kind of money that others have. And, for people on Social Security or some kind of disability, they don't have much to live on. So when you're taking food stamps away, when you're trying to do all of this, when you don't want to pay the nation's bills, what are you doing that for? See, and you can't get caught up in the drama of it and the fear of it, that you don't ask, what are you doing this for? What's really going on here? You see, there has to be something else, that some other purpose that these people have, that they're creating the chaos, right? In terms of our material security, they're creating the chaos. And now we all have got to sit around and go, okay, what's really going on here? Because something is. And I think we have bits and pieces of it, but I don't think we have the entire picture yet. Maybe some of us more so than others, because some of us never saw the people that are in power right now as anything other than criminals. And so if you're one of those people, then you pretty well have an idea of what's going on here. But we still need more details so that we understand, how could what's happening happen to affect our material security to the point that it's going to cause everybody, disparate voices who might have felt like they were enemies 2 months ago, are suddenly going to come together in common purpose and allow higher awareness to govern what we need to do to protect us, to protect the country, to protect everyone from the damage that these people seem to want to do. Then they don't seem to want to come out and tell you what they're doing. They're just doing it. Things that aren't even legal. And that's just, I think, what's happening. And so then you have the Knight of Wands who's got to come in, and that energy has to come in to try to rectify all of it and to stand up for people and to get us to stand up for ourselves. Because the interesting part about court cards, they either represent the individual on the card or the qualities therein. And this guy stands up. Every single time he stands up. And that's what we have to do collectively with populace, informed by the vortex of higher awareness, vortexing into our subconscious, so that we come together in common purpose to deal with our own path to material security, to redo this in a way that instead of sitting around wondering, well, geez, I don't know what's going on, and arguing about it with one another, we need to get real about this and understand that something's impacting us in a way that is going to be devastating, and there's just no other way about it. And to have such great job numbers before, and now all of a sudden they're tanking. All of these people that have been left with nothing, a lot of them veterans, for example. A lot of veterans work in the federal government, and now they're going after the VA, and they want to fire tens of thousands of people. And it's like, well, no, the VA was understaffed before, but now it's better. And now you want to remove all of that? You want to hurt veterans, people who served this country with honor and distinction? It was the promise that they made decades ago, that if something happens, we'll take care of you. And then to employ these people in the federal government or in other areas of government around the country, and state governments. They have skill sets that are beneficial to all of us. And to leave them hanging this way with nothing. One day they have a job, and the next day they have security. Next day they don't have insurance. They don't have anything. And they've done nothing wrong. Other than some billionaire comes in and says, yeah, let's just get rid of all this stuff. We don't need that. How does he know? He wasn't born here. He doesn't know. He doesn't care. So if that's the case, what's the real truth? What's really impacting our foundation that we need to now come together about, right? So I think that that's what this reading is. I just don't think that this is about, especially when I drew populace, I don't think this is about a single individual's reading here today. I think this is one of those readings where we need to understand what's happening, what the truth is, and what we need to do to come together and fight it. And demand that this doesn't happen here in this country. Don't undo what we've created. If there's issues, deal with them, but don't undo what we've created here. Make it better. Don't make it worse. Just so you can fund billionaire tax cuts? Really? Aren't we tired of that? And yet every time we get these folks in power, that's what happens. They go after everything. Only now it's different. It's worse. So think about that, and the idea of having to come together with people that we might not have otherwise done so, because we're all in the same boat now. And if we aren't personally, we know someone who is. And so we're going to watch this destruction, and we can't do that. We have to come together and invoke higher awareness, invoke spirit into our decisions, and in our ability to understand what's really happening on the ground level here today and going forward, and come together, with the passion of the night to say no, not going to happen. So anyhow, something to think about on a Thursday. Anyway, I think that's it. I'm not going to draw another card. I think I'm just going to sit with this here today and let this be the reading. And I'm going to write this up over at Stepping Aside. I'll publish it also over on Substack. And the web address for Stepping Aside is imsteppingaside.com. If you click on more below the video, a window will open up, and it's right there if you forget. Just think about this, though. Think about if this resonates for you. Think about if this is true for you. And understand the need to come together in common purpose to fight the things that are happening to this country, not for this country. So it's for somebody else. So anyhow, come back on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Thank you so much for watching, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.